questions. Okay. And then there's a special answer book that was supposed to be used. Fortunately, I'm not going to use that name. So for question number 1, they want us to solve for x. Okay. So when I look at 1.1.1, it's 4x plus 1 is equal to 0, or 5 minus x is equal to 0, meaning that this x is going to be negative 1 over 4, or x is going to be a 5. So those are the two answers there. Then 1.1.2, where they want us to use a calculator. So whenever we have correct two decimal places, open this up and then use a calculator. So it's going to be 7x squared minus 9x minus 8 is equal to 0, meaning that our A is a 7, our B is a negative 9, and then the C is negative 8. Punching that into the formula, you have negative B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC over twice A. Remember, we said our A is a 7, our B was a negative 9, and then our C was a negative 8. So negative with a negative 9 plus minus, this is going to be a negative 9 squared minus 4 times 7 times negative 8. Everything must be divided by 2 times 7. So the first x value that we get is a negative 0.60. or our x is 1.89. So those are the two values that the question wanted. Okay. Then 1.1.3. If we are given this, we must express the solution in what we call the interval notation. So step number 1, I can start by dividing through by the negative sign. That is according to me. Okay. So I'll have x squared minus 5x minus 6. Now the symbol will change to less than 0, because whenever you divide through by negatives, the signs change. Then I factor this out. So let me jot it this side. So 1.1.3. So we said x squared minus 5x minus 6 is less than 0. The two numbers of interest, okay. We have x minus x plus. Let's use a 6 and a 1. Should be less than 0. So our critical values are basically 6 and negative 1. So the solution is going to be negative 1 is less x, and then is less 6. Okay, then 1.2. Can you make y the subject of the formula if this is equal to 1? So let's move this 2x to that side, meaning that y is going to be 2x plus 1. And they want us to solve for x. Okay, so if y is 2x plus 1, this is 1.2. We said y is 2x plus 1. And then we have x squared, okay, minus x plus y squared is equal to 7. X squared minus xy, and then plus y squared equals to 7. Okay, let's substitute there. So it's going to be x squared minus, we have 2x plus 1, multiplying it with x plus 2x plus 1 squared. I will say minus 7 is equal to 0. So x squared, we open this, minus 2x squared minus x plus, this is going to be 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 minus 7 equals to 0. Let's collect the like terms. This is 1 and 4 is 5. 5 minus 2, we're going to have 3x squared. Minus 1 plus 4, that's going to be a plus 3x. 1 minus 7 is a negative 6 is equal to 0. Then to make life easier, I'll divide through by 3 so that I have x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So when I factor this out, I have x plus 2 and then x minus 1, meaning that the x values are going to be negative 2, or x is going to be a 1. But we had the equation 2x plus 1, and then we need to substitute into this. So if I substitute my negative 2, that's going to be negative 4 plus 1, which is a negative 3. Or y is going to be just a 3. So that is what I'm getting for that question for 5 marks. Okay, 1.3. The formula used to determine the synchronous speed in revolutions per minute is given below. Ns is the speed, the frequency in hertz, the number of poles, and so on. They want us to make P the subject. So all we have to do is switch the positions of Ns and then P, so that we know that P will be 60 times F over Ns. Okay, now that you multiply both sides by P, multiply by P, this cancels. And then you divide both sides by Ns. Okay, then they want us to calculate the numerical value of P. If Ns is this, and so let's substitute. So 60 multiplied by 63 divided by 540. Okay. So when we do that substitution, I'm ending up with just a 7. Okay, this is 7 revolutions a minute. All right, then 1.4, Q is 15, R is 4Q. Okay. Then they want us to evaluate R over 110 binary and give your answer within the binary form. Okay, so what I need to do is I'll start by changing this 110 into binary. Okay, that's going to be 1 times 2 squared plus 1 times 2 to the exponent of 1 plus the 0 times 2 to the exponent of 0. Okay, this becomes 4 plus 2 plus 0, which gives us what? A 6. So it's the same as R over 6. Okay, it's R over 6. But then they told us that R is what? 4Q, which means it's 4Q over 6, which is 4 times 15 over 6. And this becomes a 10. Now we need to write this 10 in binary form. So remember, this is just a decimal, so we need to take it back to the binary. So 10 to the binary is going to be 10 and 10 in the binary format. Okay, so that is 1.4. And then 2, we're given the equation x squared minus 4 is equal to 0, determine the numerical value of the discriminant. So discriminant is also known as the determinant, which determinant is given as a b squared minus 4ac. So from this equation, we know that our a is 1, we don't have a b, and then the c is negative 4. So let's substitute. So it's going to be 0 squared minus 4, the a is 1, the c is a negative 4. So the numerical value is 16. So describing the nature of the roots, so since the 16 is positive, so the roots are real. Okay, now since the 16 is not equal to 0, the roots are going to be unequal, but since 16 is a perfect square, then the roots are going to be rational. So those are the 3 statements: real, unequal, and then rational. Then 2.2, determine the numerical value of P for which the roots will be equal. Okay, so for roots to be equal, the discriminant must be equal to 0. So our A is a P, our B is negative 6, and then our C is a 1. So let's substitute into this. So that's going to be negative 6 squared minus 4 into P, and then times 1 should be equated to 0. So this is going to be a 36 minus 4P is equal to 0. We can move the 4P that side. So 4P is a 36, meaning that P should be a 9. Okay, so that is what we are getting. All right. Then question 3, simplify the following without the use of a calculator. So 3.1.1, we're using the powers of logs, or the second power of logs. So this B becomes a coefficient, meaning that B log 2 base 2. Now log 2 base 2 is equivalent to a 1, okay, meaning that our final answer will be just a B. Then this exponent, take out what is common, which is 5 to the 3n. Okay, if that is out, I'll be left with a 1 minus, this is going to be 5 to the exponent of negative 1, which is the same as 1 over 5. Then over 5 to the 3n, I'm multiplying it by just 5. So the 3n and the 3n will automatically cancel out, okay? So we know that 1 minus 1 over 5 should give us just a 4 over 5. And then we dividing it by a 5, meaning that the answer should be a 4 over 25. Remember, we're not using calculators, so you have to leave your answer as a common fraction. All right. Then 3.1.3, okay. Let's see. What are you gonna do first? Let me write it this side. So we have root 20x. Okay, the root of 20x. We're multiplying it by root of 5x cubed. Okay, is that a plus? Yes, then 3 square root of the fourth root of 625 x to the 12. Okay, all this must be over 2x. Okay, so step number 1, there are many ways of doing this, okay? But I'll start with simplifying what is here, okay? So we know that the fourth root of 625 is going to be 5, because if I make 5 to the exponent of 4, I'll get 625. And then this 12, I'll have to divide it by 4 to give me a 3. So it's like root 20x into 5x cubed plus 3 square root of, we said 25, x to the, when I divide, we said by 4, I'll get a 3. Okay, so if that is true, let me see. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, this should be divided by 2x. Then I need to open this up. Meaning that this multiplies with that. So 20 times 5, that's going to be 100. But x to the 4 under square root. So 100, square root of 100 is going to be 10. And then x to the 4 divided by that, I'm going to just get x what? X squared. And then I'm adding, okay? So this is going to be root of 20x and then that, meaning that the 3 should be outside. And then I'll have what is 20 times 25 x to the 4, still under the root sign. So 20, are we using calculators here? Still no calculators, no? Yeah, we can find what we can multiply that together and then we see what we end up with. Okay. Okay, so I was thinking of getting the square root of, but it's gonna take quite a lot of time. So what I'm gonna do, maybe, let me change the approach and probably use the simplified SADs, okay? Whereby I know that square root of 20 should be like 2 root 5 with x. And then this is a root 5, and then this is just gonna give us a 5, which becomes 15 outside here. And then we just open up so that it is a bit quick. Okay, so meaning that we're gonna have 2 root 5 multiplied by that, that's gonna be 2 root 5, that's 5x, and then 5x cubed, which becomes 25 now. And then, so which means the 10x squared is valid. Plus, I have 3, now I'm multiplying it by 2, and then I have, we said square root of 25 is just gonna give us a 5. Okay, so we only left with x cubed. So that's going to be 5x to the 4. Okay, whatever I have is gonna be over twice x. Then it becomes 10x squared plus 6. This is gonna be x squared root of 5 over 2x. Then I can split up, divide through by 2, meaning that I have my 5x plus, that's gonna be 3x square root of 5. So this is what I'm getting, okay? I'm not sure if I did everything correctly, but that's what I'm seeing, okay? I mean, that's what I see if I'm to really look at this, because that's gonna be 4 and then 2. So 1 over 4 times 1 over 2, which is 1 over 8. 12 cannot be divided by 1 over 8, which makes a little more sense. Okay, so that is 3.1.3. And then 3.2, can we solve for x using logs? Okay. So we have log of x plus 3. Okay, is equivalent to 1 plus log of what? Just the log of x. Okay, so with this kind of question, I need to make sure that everything is in the log format and try to apply the rules of logs, okay? So I'll say log x plus 3. I know this will be just a log of 10 base 10. I'm writing it back into the log format. And then this is log x. Then I know that for me to plus the logs, I'll have to be multiplying these exponents. Okay, so it's going to be log of x plus 3 is equal to the log of 10x, something like that. Now, since the bases are the same, I can just ignore the logs. So I have x plus 3 is equal to 10x. Then I can move the x that side. 3 is equal to 9x, meaning that x is what? 1 over 3. Okay, so that is what the question technically wanted. And then 3.3, can we simplify root of negative 16 plus 3i squared in the form of a plus bi? Okay, so when you're dealing with imaginary numbers, what we do? And so one thing we know is that square root of negative 16 is going to give us a 4i, okay? But we know that I squared is equivalent to negative 1, meaning that we're going to have a 3 times negative 1. So this should give us negative 3 plus 4i. This is what the question wanted. And then given the complex number, okay, I to the 7 plus root 3. Simplify this. Okay, so we need to simplify it. So since we say that I squared gives us a negative 1, this is I to the 6 and then times I. So negative 1, and negative 1. What do we end up with? We're going to end up with still a negative, but with I. So we're going to have a negative I plus square root of 3. That is what the question wanted. And then determine the modulus. So modulus, we're going to use the Pythagoras, okay? Whereby we're going to focus on the negative 1 squared plus the root 3 squared, okay, under the square root. So that's going to be a 1 plus 3, which is the square root of 4, which gives us what? A 2. Then lastly, 3.4.3, express this in the polar form. So we know that the polar form is the same as z is equal to r, okay, into the cos of theta plus the sine of theta. Alternatively, polar form can also be written as the r e I with the theta. So the only thing that we need to find is the theta because we already have our modulus, which is the r value, okay? So how do we find the theta? The theta, we're just gonna get, we know that our z was given as this, meaning that our opposite is the negative 1, and then our adjacent is the root of 3. Okay, so meaning that our theta is gonna be the arctan of negative 1 over root 3. So this gives us negative pi over 6. And then we just need to substitute that. So z is going to be 2, okay, into, we have the cos of negative pi over 6, which is also the same as the cos pi over 6. And then plus, okay, we have I, the sine of negative pi over 6. So with your basic trig, you could just have something like 2 into the cos of just pi over 6 minus I, the sine of pi over 6. So that is what the question was asking for. Question number 4, first function question. Okay, h of x is this is a hyperbola. They want us to write down the asymptotes. So asymptotes, x is a 0, and then y is -4. Then determine the x-intercept. So x-intercept, y will always be a 0. So we replace h of x with a 0. So 0 is equal to -3 over x minus 4. Let's move this negative that side, meaning that 4x should give us a -3, and then x will be -3 over 4. They just wanted the x-intercept, so there we go, which is -3 over 4. Then 4.1.3, they want us to sketch. Okay, so I'll sketch it here. Okay, remember this hyperbola is basic. Okay, so meaning that we're gonna have our asymptotes first, which is y -4. So y -4 is somewhere there. Okay, the other asymptote is just this y-axis. Okay, so the x-intercept, we said -3 over 4, which is somewhere here. Okay, and then I think we're done. All we need to do is now sketch. So the graph is just gonna be in this sort of quadrant since the a is negative. And then we're gonna have the other arm just in this quadrant. All right, so that is what the question wanted for 3 marks. Then 4.2, they want us to draw another graph, okay, with a special function, a to the x plus p. So for as long as the exponent is x, meaning that this graph is an exponential. Okay, this is an exponential graph, whereby our a is between 0 and 1. So what does this tell us? Simply tells us that this a is a fraction. And for as long as a is a fraction, the graph is decreasing. Okay, it must be in this sort of format. Okay, so then what do we have? They're telling us that k of x can never be -9. So it can never cross the -9. So -9 becomes an asymptote. Okay, so I'll put my -9 somewhere there. This is -9. And they go on to tell us that the k of 0 is -8. So if x is a 0, then -8 is the x-intercept. Okay, then k -2 gives us a 0. When x is a -2, y is a 0. Okay, so that's the x-intercept. And then we sketch. So that is the function that the question was asking for. You get your good 4 marks. All right. Then question number 4.3. Okay. 4.3, they're telling us sketched below are the functions of f and g defined by this. So this is a parabola, and then there's a straight line whose equation that we don't know. All right, we have x-intercepts, we have the y-intercept, the lines are perpendicular. Wow, 4.3.1, they want us to get the coordinates of C. Where is C? C is the y-intercept for 2 marks. Why? Okay, 4.3.1, so y-intercept, both graphs are passing there, but we know the equation of f. So we're going to say that at C, x is going to be 0. Technically, this value, -5, is the answer, okay? But for the purpose of substituting f of 0, 0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 5, which is just 0 and -5. I mean, 2 marks, okay? 4.3.4, they want the length AB. Technically, they want us to get the value of A, the value of B, and the distance. So we know that these are intercepts, and the intercepts, the graph of F is passing there. So at the x-intercept, 4.3.2, at the x-axis, y is what? 0. So x squared minus, okay, 4x minus 5. Minus 5 is equal to 0. So let's substitute, let's factor this out. So it's going to be x minus 5, and then x plus 1 is equal to 0, meaning that x is a 5, or X is a -1. Now, if this is a -1 and this is a 5, so the distance AB is going to be 5 minus -1, which is 6 units. All right, that's AB. Then determine the coordinates of D. Where is D? D is the turning point. So how do we determine the turning point? So turning point, we can find the midpoint, okay, whereby X is -B over 2A, and then we do the substitution. All right, then 4.3.4, they want the range of F. Y must be greater or equal to -9. So Y values where this graph is valid, okay? So that is how that must be done. Then they want us to get the equation of G. Now, since G is a straight line, okay, that 0.4, 0.5 is 0.5. It's a straight line. We already have this as a 5. We already have this as a -5. The only thing we need is just the gradient. Okay, gradient is change in Y over change in X. So this one upwards is going to be a 5. In this direction, it's also going to be a 5. So it's going to be 5 over 5, which is just a 1. Alternatively, use your equation. Because we have 0, -5, we have 5 and 0. So it's going to be 5 minus 0 over, nope, mark. You're lying, bro. We're saying 0 minus 5 over 5 minus 0, which is 5 over 5, which is a 1. So meaning that the equation is just X. The y-intercept is a -5. Okay, so that is the equation that the question wanted. Then lastly, they want us to get the length of ED. Now we know that E and D are points on the graph, We can choose to find the Y value since we know that our X here is what? Is a 2. In this equation, if X is a 2, what is Y? Meaning that E is going to be 2 and -3. Okay, and then we already found that this is 2 and -9. So what is the length here? Whenever we find the length of vertical or horizontal lines that are parallel to the axis, just subtract. So the bigger value is -3. The smaller value is that. So I'll say -3 minus -9. And this gives us 6 units. Okay, so alternatively, subtract the two equations, okay, whereby you get X minus 5 and then subtract the equation of F. Then the answer you get, substitute X with a 2. Get the answer there. All right, then question number 5, a mechanic bought a trolley jack for just 10,063 rands and paid a deposit of 1,000. The balance owing was to be paid over 24 months in equal installments of 468,48 using simple interest. Can I get the total amount that was paid over the 24 months? So if these are just installments, okay, they want the total amount paid that was paid. So meaning that we're just going to get the 464,48 just multiplied by 24. Okay, so what do we get there? People with calculators help us. That's going to be, we said 464,48 multiplied by 24. I'm getting 11,147 and then 52 cents. Okay, so that is how much was paid for the 24 months, these payments. Interest rate that was charged. So with the interest rate, we can, number one, start by getting the balance. Okay, so how much balance was it? So 1063 minus 1,000. So this gives us 9063. Okay, this was the balance, which is like our principal amount. This is our accumulated amount. Then we can get what the question is asking for. So let me jot it this side. Okay, so we're saying that our P is going to be 9063. Our A is 341,47,52. Okay, so simple interest is P into 1 plus in. So 47,52 is equal to 9063, 1 plus 2 years, so 2i. So divide both sides by 9063, 9063. That cancels. Okay, I'll be left with 1 comma. I'll say 2, 3. Okay. After moving this one to that side. And then I'll divide this by 2 and then multiply by 100%. So this gives me 11,5%. Okay, then 5.2, the value of the car depreciates at 23% per annum using the reducing balance. Calculate the depreciated value at the end of the 3 years if the car was bought for this. So we know that the reducing balance is P1 minus K. So 220,000 into 1 minus, I'll say 23 over 100 to the exponent of what? 3. What am I ending up with? I'm getting, this is 100, is it 100 or 10? I don't know. 437,26. So this is how much the car is, 100,000 after 3 years. 5.3, company invested 40,000 for 7 years. This for the first 4 years, compounded quarterly thereafter, it was reinvested, and then 8% half yearly. So this is more like, okay, timeline. So this is 40,000, this is T0 up to T7 at exactly T4, T3, T4. So this is gonna be 6.5% quarterly. And then this is going to be 8% half yearly. Okay, so meaning we have 4 years, we have 3 years. Okay, so I'm going to have 40,000 into 1 plus 6.5% over 4 to the exponent of 4 times 4. The answer I get, I must multiply it by 1 plus 8% over 2 to the exponent of 3 times 2. Okay, so when I punch this into the calculator, I'll get 65,504,17. So this is what I end up with. Okay, so that is 5.3, but we've not answered the question because the question is asking us determine whether the total interest that was earned. So this is the total. Can we get the interest? So interest is going to be the difference, okay? So 65,504,17 minus the 40,000. So this gives us 25,504,17. So definitely this is more than half. Therefore, it's saying that the interest is more than half of the investment. Okay, so that is how this question would have been answered. We have question 6. Okay, we're almost there. They want us to determine the first derivative using the first principles. Okay, so it's saying that f of x, okay, is equal to -8, meaning that our f of x plus h should be the same as this negative x. It's going to be -8 into x plus h. Okay, so if that is true, if this is very, very, very true. Okay, so we have our f of x and then we have the x plus h. Then we know that the formula for limit as h tends to 0, we have f of x plus h minus the f of x divided by the h. Okay, we do the substitution. So limit as h tends to 0, we have -8 into x plus h minus our -8x divided by h. Let's open that up. Limit as h tends to 0 is -8x minus 8h plus 8x divided by h. So this cancels that. This h can cancel that h, meaning that we just left with -8. All right, there we go for 5 marks. I want us to determine the derivative of -2. So -2 is just a constant. So our beautiful answer should be just a 0. And then here we can apply the rules. So it's going to be 3/2x. When we subtract a 1, we shall be left with a half. -7 and -4, that's going to give us a positive 28, x to the -8. Okay, then 6.4, we have this. Then they want us to make y the subject of the equation, and we simplify as far as we can. Okay, so if y is out, we're going to be left with 1 minus x is equal to x squared minus 1. Okay, let's divide both sides by 1 minus x. So x squared minus 1, I know that it's a difference of 2 squares. Okay, so I can say that y is going to be x minus 1 and then x plus 1. Okay, I'm dividing it by 1 minus x. But then I can take out the negative sign within the top bracket. So I have negative 1 minus x, x plus 1 over 1 minus x. And then I can cancel things out. So meaning that this cancels this. And then our simplified version is going to be negative x minus 1. This is what the question wanted. Then hence determine the derivative. The derivative is just going to be -1. Okay, because this constant will fall away. Then 6.5, if you're given g of x, which is 3x squared plus 5x, they want us to get the first derivative, which is going to be 6x plus 5. So the first derivative is usually the equation that we use to determine the gradient. Then 6.5.4. The first derivative of 4, okay, meaning that we're going to have 6 times -4 plus 5. So that's going to be -24 plus 5, which gives us -19. Then hence determine the equation of the tangent at x -4. So the only thing we need is the y value at this point. We already have the gradient. We have the x coordinate. So let's get this and substitute it into the original there. Okay, so we're going to say that this is 6.5.3. So we're going to say that g at -4, which is 3 times -4 squared plus 5 times -4. Okay, so when I punch that, I'm getting a 28 as my answer, because that's 20/48. Okay, so 48 minus 20, which is a 28. Okay, then since the tangent is a line, I'll say y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1. So y minus the y value, which is 28, is equal to -19 into x minus -4. Okay, so when I simplify this, I'm ending up with y being the same as -19x minus a 48. All right, then 6.6, determine the numerical value of k if the average gradient, the keyword is average gradient. So with the average gradient, we know that it's the change in y over the change in x is equivalent to 5. Okay, so I'm going to say y2, okay, let me call this x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'll have k minus 3, I'm subtracting a -6 over k minus 1 should give me a 5, meaning that I have k plus 3 is equivalent to 5 into k minus 1. So k plus 1 is equal to 5k minus 5. Let's collect the like terms, meaning that 6 is going to be the same as 4k. Does that make sense? Nope, 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 nope. Why am I getting a 1 here? Like really? Like why? It's supposed to be a plus 3. Ish. So this becomes 8, meaning that k is a 2. All right, so that is question number 6. Number 7, we have this cubic function. They want us to get the y-intercept. So for y-intercept, x will be a 0. So we're going to say f of 0 is going to be negative at 0 squared minus 5 into 0 squared plus 24 into a 0, meaning that it's going to be a 0. Then they want us to factorize completely. Factorize completely. So I'll take out the x. I'll have, no, let me take out the negative x. I'll have x squared minus 5x. But if I'm taking out a negative, why does it remain a negative? True. Okay, so plus, that's x squared plus 5x minus a 24. When I look at this bracket and factorize out 24, I'll look at negative 3 and a positive 8, meaning that my final answer will be, let me write it here. It's going to be negative x into x minus 3 and then x plus 8. All right, then 7.3, hence write down the x-intercepts. Okay, x-intercepts, y will be a 0. So in other words, we are equating this thing to a 0. So x is going to be a 0 with this. X is going to be a 3 with that bracket, or x is going to be a negative 8. And then determine the coordinates of the turning point. So with the turning point, you need to find the derivative and then equate it to 0. Okay, so with my derivative, it's going to give me some weird points. Nevertheless, I have to look for them. Okay, this is 7.4. So negative x cubed minus 5x squared plus a 24x. All right, so first derivative is going to be negative 3x squared minus 10x plus a 24 should give us a 0. When I divide through by the negative, I'll have my 3x squared plus the 10x minus 24 is a 0. Is it possible for me to work this out, 3x and x? 24, we can look at 6 and 4. Is it going to make sense? Because that's going to be 18 and what? Okay, what if I look at 12 and 2? That's going to be 12, that's going to be 6, which is not going to make sense. And then 1 and 24, no. 3 and 8. If I put 8 here and I put a 3, that's not going to give me what I want. So I mean 1, 2, 3, 4 is done, then 6. So I have to use the quadratic formula. In this case, I must use the quadratic formula. Meaning that my x is going to be negative 10 plus minus square root of 10 squared minus 4. Our a is a 3 and then negative 24. And then divide by 2 times 3. Okay, so I can use this and find my values of x and then substitute them to get the values of y. Then the next part, they want us to sketch the graph. Okay, let's just look at how the sketching is going to be done. Okay, so the sketching, we have this as our y, and then this is our x. So we say the graph is passing through 0, it's passing through negative 8, and then it is passing through a positive 3. Now, since the a is negative, which means the graph must be a smile and then a frown first. Okay, so our x coordinate was a 5, it's either 4, something or a 5, something, because what I'm getting is like a negative 4,95 for the x value. Okay, and then this side I'm having like a 1,6 something. So meaning that our graph is gonna be, let's have something like that. Okay, turning point must pass through 0, and then there's another turning point somewhere here. Okay, and then pass through the 3, something like that. Okay, so that would be our graph. Then lastly, 7.6, determine the values of x for which x multiplied by this is greater than 0. So the answers that I got for this were basically for 3 marks. 1, x must be greater than 3. The negative 8 is less, because I say negative 8, because this one is decreasing. And if it is decreasing, this one must also be below. Okay, so decreasing up to this -4 something, x, and then -4,9. Okay, below, it's below, and it is decreasing as well. Then for the increasing part, we have 0 less x less 1,6. Okay, so those are the values that I would have obtained. Question number 9. Okay, diagram below shows an open rectangular box with the following dimensions: length, breadth, and height. Then they tell us that the length or the breadth is twice the height. First question, express the height in terms of x, meaning that our breadth, which is 2x plus 2, the breadth is twice the height. People who know English, please help us. The breadth, so B is twice the height, meaning that the height must be a half the breadth. So a half into 2x plus 2. So meaning that our height is going to be x plus 1. Okay, then hence show that the volume can be written as that. So with the volume, we just need to get the length times the breadth times the height. So if it's a 10 minus 2x, our breadth is 2x plus 2, and then that is x plus 1. Let me open with the 10 first, which means it's going to be a 20x plus 20 minus 4x squared minus 4x. Answer I get here, I have to multiply it with x times x plus 1. So this is going to be, okay, let me just open everything up. That on that, I have 20x squared. I'll have plus 20x minus 4x cubed minus 4x squared. Then plus the whole thing, which is 20x plus 20 minus 4x squared minus 4x. Let's collect the like terms. So it's just going to be negative 4x cubed, 20 minus 4 minus 4. What is 20 minus 8? That is a 12. Okay, this is going to be 12x squared. And then with the x, I have 20 and 20, which is 40. 40 minus 4, which is a 36x. The constant numbers that I'm having is just a 20. Let's see what the question had. Negative 12, 36, and 20. Beautiful. Okay, so that's what the question wanted. Then they want us to get the derivative, meaning that we're going to have a negative 12x squared plus a 24x plus a 36. And then hence determine the value of x for which the volume will be maximum. Now, since we found the first derivative, we just have to equate it to a 0. 4x plus 36 is equal to 0. Divide through by negative 12. X squared minus 2x minus 3 is 0. Meaning that the x minus 3, x plus 1. So either x is a 3 or x is a negative 1. Hence, determine the value of x for which the volume of mass. Now, since we're talking about distance, remember x is a distance. Okay, we can substitute and see in that case. Okay, we're saying that v of negative 1. What answer are we going to end up with? Okay, so when I substitute the v of negative 1, I'm ending up with a 0. Then v of 3, I'm ending up with 128. Therefore, our x needs to be 3. But also, even without substituting, we could see that x is representing a distance, and distance is hardly negative, okay? All right, 9.1, they want us to find the integral of this, okay? So with this, we remember with integral, we plus by 1 and then divide that. So it's going to be negative 9, negative 5 over 10, x to the exponent of 10. This gives us negative a half x to the 10. That's what we get, okay? Then with this, given the expression, can we simplify it? So when you simplify this, just break it down by dividing through by x. So I'll have 2x to the negative 1. Then this is going to be minus 8x to the negative 4 plus a 1. Then they want us to find the integral of this thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna have is what are we gonna have? What are we gonna have? So if I plus a 1 here, I'll end up with a 0 and what? So it's the same as 2 over x. So this 2 over x is just gonna give me 2 ln x, okay? And then this other one, when I plus a 1, I'll get a 3, which is negative and negative, which means I'll have a plus 8 over 3, x to the negative 3. And then this one will automatically become the x. Okay, there we go. Okay, you can always put a c, plus c, since I'm differentiating. Okay, sorry, I'm not differentiating, I'm integrating. Okay, then 9.3. They're telling us that we are given f of x, which is 4x cubed. The shaded area is bounded by the curve of f. The x-axis is having k and 2k in is equivalent to that. So that's like the area or the volume around that. And then it was claimed to a technical mathematics class that the value of 2k lies between 10 and 20. Determine whether the claim is valid. Okay, so all I need to do is get the integral between k and 2k of my 4k cubed. And my answer will be 36015. So when I integrate that, it's gonna be x, please. Okay, so I'll have 4 over 4, x to the 4. K and then 2k should give me 36015. Okay, when I substitute with 2k and 2 that, so this is a 1. Okay, so I'll have 2k to the exponent of 4 minus k to the exponent of 4 should give us 36015. And then this is gonna be, what is 2 to the exponent of 4? That's 16. 16k to the 4 minus 1k to the 4 should give us 36015. This is a 15k to the 4 is 36015. Let's divide both sides by 15. Okay, meaning that k to the exponent of 4 is 2401. And I express this, okay, when I express this in exponential form, it's going to be like 7 to the exponent of 4, meaning that my k is a 7. What did the question ask for? The 2k. So 2k is going to be like 2 times 7, which is 14. Determine showing whether the claim is valid. Therefore, we're saying that the claim is valid. All right, so that is how we would have gone about with that paper. And we can say that looking at the overall page or the overall paper, you can see that it was a fair paper, okay? Out of 100, we can rate it around 98% doable, okay? It's 98% doable. All right, guys, so that is that, and I will leave it at that. Let's meet again when we meet. Bye-bye.